Hello everyone, welcome to kind of a weird intermission episode here of From the Star Wars Home Video Library. We're not going to be looking really at anything this time. It's a question of what we're going to be looking at in the future though, and I wanted to get input from viewers, especially those who've been around for a while. So we're actually coming up on the 10th anniversary of this series, which launched in the latter part of 2013, I believe. And things have come a long way since then, at least in terms of the collection and visually. And at this point, I've covered pretty much everything that exists on the American market, unless I just haven't been able to get my hands on it, which is pretty rare, like the widescreen scope version of one reel of A New Hope on Super 8 that I haven't been able to get my hands on. But for the most part, we've seen it. And we've seen a bunch of stuff from other regions as well. And there's just not a whole lot of stuff that I'm pulling in right now until or unless there are actual new releases to cover. So a lot of our coverage has been these weird little oddball things like, hey, here's a documentary that has something to do with Star Wars. Or hey, here's this parody over here that actually got a legal release because parodies can legally be released unlike most other fan films, and so on. It's just not a lot of stuff to cover. So I'm thinking ahead. The Patreon is ending at the beginning of June, which means that those project update videos will start to be fewer and further between instead of being a monthly thing, which frees me up some recording time. Same thing with the need for the Q&A videos, the exclusive Q&A videos for Nobility of the But Learniverse from the Patreon. Those won't be needed anymore, so that's another chunk of time freed up for recording. I already know that probably what I'm going to do, at least to some degree, is circle around and finally hit some more stuff for Nate's favorite deck building games, which I sort of abandoned a while ago, to be able to look at some stuff I just haven't had a chance to look at before. But when it comes to Star Wars home video stuff, I'm kind of sitting here floundering, trying to figure out what to keep producing when there's just not much being produced in terms of actual releases. And I've come up with a few ideas. I want to toss them out there, get your feedback on them in the comments, just to kind of see what you think you might find interesting to see on the show, or as part of the broader channel and broader Star Wars home video coverage here. So one option is sort of circling back. And this may actually hybridize with another option, but as I mentioned, things have come a long way with things like the recording equipment here. I'm recording on an iPad. I'm recording in HD. The early episodes of this series look like shit. They're terrible because the lighting was horrible. I was recording on this really crappy little Netbooks webcam. They're horrible looking. So one thing might be to sort of do some like Redux type episodes and circle back and at least somewhat quickly look at some things that I already covered in depth in those episodes that just were covered in a way where visually it was just horrible to watch. And visually it was harder to see kind of the niceness of the packaging. Like if I hold up something now, like I just recorded the episode about that Fridge Clone Wars, so I have this one still sitting on the desk, you can see it very well in HD, whereas you really couldn't do that with some of those earlier episodes. So one option is circle back, do some like Redux or revisited type of episodes relating to products from early in the series when the video quality was crappy. I don't know if I would replace those videos so much as just make them like other options to see those products or something, but that is an option. A second option is to do sort of year-in review videos. I did kind of sort of a joking one recently where it was like a year there just weren't any releases in the US at all, and I kind of did it as a tongue-in-cheek thing. But I really enjoyed back when I was able to do those videos that were like timeline videos. I would get out stuff, sit it on a table, kind of move around and show stuff from a given year, and you could watch that video and see year to year to year Star Wars releases. The problem is those are a pain in the butt to produce, and there's not a lot of physical space in which to do it at this point for me. But part of me thought, well, I did do that joking one that was sort of the year in review. What if I did like an episode on releases from 77, like some of the Super 8 stuff, releases from 82, releases from 95, and so on, and make it sort of a quick look at noteworthy stuff released in any given year. That would give me from 77 up through 2023, for the most part, in terms of years that I could cover with that. It would just be a matter of kind of digging through my stuff, finding out what year stuff was from, making sure I've got the most noteworthy stuff all gathered together to do those episodes. Might take a little bit more prep work, but it would be something interesting, and that would be somewhat of a replacement for those timeline style videos that I just can't make anymore. Just too much stuff to cover in a single video. The other option that came to mind was inspired somewhat by TikTok-y type stuff. And I say TikTok-y as in an adjective here, because I think of it in terms of the way that, you know, TikTok is like the short burst video content, and usually very pointed in its subject matter. And I say that as someone who has never used TikTok before. I've only just seen videos that have been on TikTok posted elsewhere and whatnot. Not a TikTok guy myself. But the idea of sort of short burst stuff, kind of like One Stop Co-op Shop. It's a board game YouTube channel that I tend to watch stuff on. They do like the 5 in 5 reviews, just quick little like 5-minute looks at stuff where they'll hit 5 specific things about it. Something in terms of like a short form thing where it's just like, here's the product, here's when it was made, here's the region that it's from, here's a few quick notes about it, just a quick burst, almost like a crash course for those who haven't watched all 400 plus episodes of the series here. And want to know more about Star Wars home video stuff. Just grabbing just various things, not necessarily in any particular order, just, hey, here's a burst of just some stuff to see. And that might also be something to dovetail with that first thing about seeing some stuff that visually was tough to see in those episodes where the information was solid, typically, but the actual product itself was kind of hard to see. Maybe those could be some of the first ones done in those little burst type videos here. I guess that I would still be doing it sort of this format. I would not be turning it vertical. I don't think that just doesn't appeal to me really. But just something like that. Just looking for ideas of other stuff, particularly Star Wars home video related, that you would like to see that is a feasible thing for me to do once my recording time frees up a little bit more and I have more of an ability to do other formats of stuff. Of course, I'll continue with the mini Q&A episodes. Of course, I'll continue with From the Star Wars Home Video Library and its Q&A episodes as well, but just something different every once in a while to be able to see here, because there just is sort of a dearth, I've said that a lot lately in these videos, a dearth of new Star Wars home video releases to be covering as they're being released. So yeah, I thought I'd put it out here, toss those 3 out, let me know which of those you find particularly interesting. Again, option 1 being going back and redoing like full episodes on early stuff that just had crappy video quality, which is, a second option being year in review type videos of looking at highlights of individual years, maybe just US market, I'm not sure. And then third option would be the kind of quick crash course videos, which could also wrap in some of the stuff that visually might be addressed by that first option. Or if you've got other ideas you want to throw out here. Commentary stuff, reaction videos don't tend to be my speed with it. The commentary stuff I've done has all been MP3 stuff. Patreon's where you can find the ones, at least right now, for Clone Wars and Forces of Destiny and Tales of the Jedi. But I don't expect to do that sort of thing. I don't have the editing expertise to be able to do sort of like the standard reaction videos, and I like to watch stuff with my wife the first time I see them, so none of them would be a first reaction anyway. So that kind of stuff is kind of off the table, but I wanted to at least find something that we could sort of together brainstorm here as audience and host to see if there's, you know, kind of other ways to approach this stuff that might be interesting to see as the type of content available normally with new releases just isn't as available when there just aren't new releases really to talk about. So something I would toss out there. Let me know your thoughts in the comments and whatnot. I don't know when I'll be making a decision on it. Again, the Patreon doesn't even end until the beginning of June. But at least there'll be some thoughts from you guys to kind of percolate with my own as I'm trying to decide what maybe comes next here in the next few months. So thank you all for watching. May the Force be with the home video viewers, and I look forward to your thoughts on those ideas or others you may have.